elements contribute to a more inclusive environment and help to improve peer relationships. Co-education at all stages is promoted. Segregation of pupils based on socioeconomic status will be avoided. The equity and inclusiveness of the system will be strengthened. And an inclusive education in line with the acquisition of competencies will be provided, which also values diversity. The digital change that is taking place in our society is affecting educational activity. These technological innovations are apparent randomness that need to overcome deterministic order to succeed in having learning connections beyond the physical classroom environment. Schools should promote a culture of environmental sustainability and contact with green spaces. This affects the organizational relationships within the learning context of the students in a positive way. These two elements will achieve an improvement in the learning context by taking into account today's ethical issues. The results of the assessments that are carried out cannot be used to make public individual assessments of a student. An area of education in civic and ethical values is added, in which special attention will be paid to knowledge and respect for human rights. These two elements imply that teacher-student connections must be improved for teachers to get to know their pupils better, in order to provide them with a personalized education. All pupils are guaranteed to success through greater personalization of teaching, and the organization is more flexible in order to personalize and improve the learning capacity and results of all pupils. I consider it appropriate to include the Joplin plan to allow grouping students with the same level, regardless of their age, for reading. Also, I would regroup my students for mathematics. Thus, my students would remain in heterogeneous classes most of the day. These two innovations represent balancing randomness and deterministic order. Randomness in this case is these new innovations to which we will have to get used to in order to find an equilibrium. Also, I intend to maintain the current gifted programs offered in some subjects. If children with high abilities attended all classes with children without them, they might always be bored in class. Therefore, this initiative is related to connections within the learning context. We will make their learning more effective, avoiding many interruptions due to doubts from other colleges. I chose self-contained classrooms over departmentalization because I believe that having the same teacher for all academic subject areas is the best option for elementary school. Departmentalization makes it difficult for a student to identify with a single caring adult. This is related to teacher-student connections. Students are more likely to engage from the process of learning when they experience a connection to the teacher through a learning relationship. Cooperative learning will be promoted. Students will work in small heterogeneous learning groups. Interaction involving all members of a group is more likely in small groups than in large ones. So I promote groupings of 4-8 pupils, if possible with equal numbers of boys and girls. Regarding the complexity of our organization, cooperative learning is related with connections with peers and connections within learning. By connecting the knowledge of the individual members, the combined group develops a shared understanding of the topic. All these points, but especially the last one, reflect essential elements of my leadership style, the participative style. In the workplace of my students, a family atmosphere will be created by implementing these points. With cooperative learning is reflected how productivity is related with human relationships. Also, respect for the contribution of each member of the groups will be always promoted by the teachers. I think I deserve a 7. Throughout the whole course, I have shown interest and I have kept up to date with all the documents that we had to read for the Kahoot. I have made an effort to understand all the concepts presented, but I must admit that there are some that I have not managed to master completely. For me, the most crucial idea of this subject is the types of leadership. I consider them to be the basis of everything, on which all the other concepts are built. Yes, with regard to the complexity of this school, I would never have imagined that randomness could be good. I always thought that everything had to be meticulously planned to go well, and that you couldn't go off plan. I now realize that everything cannot be static, and that the fact that it is constantly changing is not a bad thing. By preparing this video, I have learned to understand several interrelated concepts as a whole, something that I have always struggled to do. I hope you liked my video. Thanks for watching. Bye!